You're listening to The Bible Guys, a podcast where a couple of friends talk about the Bible in fun and practical ways.
The death of Saul.
Whoa. Welcome. Thanks for tuning in.
I just wanted to start the podcast a little different.
Yeah, just morbid.
Yes.
Bum, bum.
Today, Saul dies on the podcast. No. Hey, welcome to the Bible Guys.
Okay.
We just thought we'd wake you up. But I'm Chris. He's Jeff. And we are just a couple of guys that like to talk about the Bible. And today, we are actually bringing to an end or wrapping up or putting a bow on Saul's reign, the very first king of Israel.
That's right.
But before we do that, we have a segment. And this is one of my favorite segments. I like these.
You like these?
Do you like them?
Who's most likely?
And we have to do it quick. That's really the key.
I haven't read these.
I have not read these
So I haven't
either.
even contemplated them.
And we just sort of like ask a question, or actually Desiree asks questions.
Yes.
And then you and I have to either vote me or you.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
All right, so I'll take the first one.
Okay.
Who's most likely to buy something ridiculous online and then pretend it was a joke? I don't know.
I don't know.
Doesn't sound
I really
like me.
don't buy much online.
Me neither, but I'll just maybe say me.
Okay. I'll vote for you too.
Okay.
All right. You're voted.
Only because
You get 1 point.
Only because it seems like
That's an odd one.
I'm a
I don't know.
little bit more ridiculous with no purpose than you.
Okay.
Would you agree with that?
Yes. I'm going to get 2 votes. 2 votes for that. 2 thumbs up.
Okay.
Okay. Who's most likely to adopt a pet rock and treat it like royalty? Did you have a pet rock?
I did. I had many rocks when I was a kid.
Okay. Well, then I'm going to vote for you.
Yeah, I'm going to vote for me too.
Yes. I had somebody give me a pet rock, one of the ones with the
Well,
googly
the official
eyes.
ones.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in a box.
Yes.
And I remember looking at it then and going, what?
Yeah.
Somebody put googly eyes on a rock and sold it to you?
And
you paid money for this?
They were very popular.
They were?
That guy was laughing all the way to the bank.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he literally found the rocks, and all he had to do was buy googly eyes in a box.
Put them in a box.
Yeah. By the way, I bet you I had 4 or 5 legitimate googly eye pet rocks.
Oh, wow.
And I had a collection of rocks for years and years.
Wow.
I had like boxes of rocks that were cool.
Like just things that captured your attention? Or do you know geology?
Legitimate,
Do you know?
no legitimate geology. Just be like, look at this one. This one's green, cool. That kind of thing.
Collecting rocks.
Yeah. I
Okay.
had a collection of rocks.
I have fossils in my office.
Oh, well, that's better.
Yeah. They're rocks, kind of.
Sure. Petrified fossils. Okay, here's the third one. Who's most likely to think they're really good at karaoke, but actually aren't?
Well, you really would be, so it's going to have to be me.
I'm gonna say you then.
Yeah, it's going to have to be me.
I don't think I'd actually really good at karaoke.
I don't think I would be really good at karaoke, personally.
No?
But no.
Okay.
Have you ever done karaoke?
Of course.
I've never done karaoke.
What?
Never.
Who has never done karaoke?
I've never done karaoke of any kind, ever.
I've done karaoke 50 times.
Yeah.
Publicly.
No, I've never have.
I have a video right now of karaoke.
Yeah, I
of
believe
me.
you. I believe you.
I'm not going to play it, but I've done it.
Okay, well then maybe you're the one that thinks you're really good.
Maybe. it could be.
If you've done it 50 times.
Yeah, could be.
Okay. Who's most likely to invent a new dance move that becomes an internet sensation? That's definitely you.
Yeah, that's probably
because
me.
you've seen my dance moves.
Yeah, but I'm right there with you though. Honestly,
boy.
I think that the only way it would be a sensation if it's like the Carlton dance from Fresh Bel Air, right? Yeah. It's that one. It's like it'd be something goofy like that.
Yes,
it wouldn't be an actual sensation.
Right. That's a good one.
Okay, well then here's the last one. Who's most likely to lose their phone in the fridge?
Oh, me. I have.
Oh, wow.
I've lost my phone in the fridge.
I've never done that.
Yeah.
Well, that's definitely you.
I just set stuff down. When I walk somewhere, I set stuff down, forget where it was. So I was going through some stuff. All of a sudden, I needed to move some things from one shelf to another shelf to get stuff in, set my phone down, do it all. Then I'm walking around. I cannot find my phone. And then we were sitting in the dining room area, and somebody called me, and you could hear it buzzing in the fridge. I was
my goodness.
Where's my phone? And then you get
How long was it in there? Not enough to...
Long enough to make it cold.
Okay, that's so funny.
Yeah.
I've definitely never done that. And nor do I ever think I would actually set a phone in a fridge.
Yeah.
Like I
just set stuff down.
I know, I do too. Yeah. But I think if I'm in a fridge and I'm moving stuff and I'm like, oh, I've got something in my hand, I just don't think instinctively I would set a phone down.
Well, I wouldn't have thought it either, but it happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
my
funny.
dad used to say I'd forget my head if it wasn't attached to my body.
Right.
He's like, you'd lose it. You'd lose your head.
Well, that's definitely me at times, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
my wife says, how can you have such an incredible memory on some things?
Yeah.
And then like not know where your keys are always.
My keys, my wallet, my phone.
Yeah.
I'm always missing one of them.
Yes. Yeah. And you know what it is? Men need men purses.
No, I don't think we do.
I know, but I'm saying like, I sort of wish that was a stylish thing.
Well, it kind of is. Now you get the shoulder bags.
Well, not for real men.
Not for... You have to have a bun. You have to have a bun in order to...
and a hairy chest. Yeah. And, right. And then look like you always need a shower always.
Always. Okay.
Right. And unshaven.
Yes.
Then you can wear a man purse.
Okay. A merce.
Yeah. A merce. Yeah.
Okay.
That's so funny.
All right. Now you're really going to get the hate mail. You know that, right?
I know. I really...
Men can carry purses too.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Okay. It's what's coming.
When I was a youth pastor, we used to have this thing where all the football players would tease cheerleaders because we knew that they worked hard, you know, like because in youth groups you had both the cheerleaders and the football players. But I had two football players that came to my youth group specifically that used to tease the cheerleaders because they wouldn't call them real athletes, so they would do a cheer.
Oh, no.
They would do a cheer, and they would pat their knees and they would go. They would just do this. They would go, cheerleaders are athletes too.
Oh no. Oh no. Okay, so just send all of your hate mail to
I didn't say it was
Caesarbaugh at thebibleguides.com.
I didn't say it was me. I think cheerleaders are incredible athletes.
Yes, okay.
I'm just telling you that was a funny thing that they did.
Caesarbaugh at thebibleguides.com.
Oh, I frowned on it. I was like,
frowned on it. I disapprove of that.
Boo, I disapprove.
Now that you told this story and laughed about it. Yeah. Okay. Well, speaking of death.
Right? There's no transition to this. None at all.
So, yesterday we talked about Samuel warns Saul that he's going to die.
Yes.
Then a few pages later, all kinds of things happen. The Philistines finally kick David out of their camp. People start coming to David. Lots of soldiers, lots of people in Israel start to shift their loyalty over to David. David winds up actually destroying the Amalekites finally, the ones that Saul did not. And David goes through and God uses him to bring judgment on the Amalekites. And then after that, even more people come and start joining David's army. And then, but the Philistines were a perpetual thorn in Saul's side. And here's what happens in 1 Samuel chapter 31. It says, "Now the Philistines attacked Israel, and the men of Israel fled before them. Many were slaughtered on the slopes of Mount Gilboa. The Philistines closed in on Saul and his sons, and they killed 3 of his sons, Jonathan, Abinadab, and Malchishua."
Wow.
Malchishua?
Yeah, Malchishua.
I don't know that I've even heard that name.
No.
So
it sounds like he's from Hawaii.
Malchishua. Yeah.
Malchishua.
Polynesian.
Yeah, maybe so.
I don't know.
Polynesian sauce at Chick-fil-A is really good.
There you go. The fighting grew very fierce around Saul, and the Philistine archers caught up with him and wounded him severely. Saul groaned to his armor-bearer, "Take your sword and kill me before these pagan Philistines come to run me through and taunt and torture me." But his armor-bearer was afraid and would not do it, so Saul took his own sword and fell on it.
Ugh.
When his armor-bearer realized that Saul was dead, he fell on his own sword and died beside the king. So Saul, his 3 sons, his armor-bearer, and his troops all died together that same day. When the Philistines on the other side of the Jezreel Valley and beyond the Jordan saw that the Israelite army had fled and that Saul and his sons were dead, they abandoned their towns and they fled. So the Philistines moved in and occupied their towns. The next day, when the Philistines went out to strip the dead, they found the bodies of Saul and his 3 sons on Mount Gilboa. So they cut off Saul's head and stripped off his armor. And then they proclaimed the good news of Saul's death in their pagan temple and to the people throughout the land of Philistia. They placed his armor in the temple of the Ashtoreths, and they fastened his body to the wall of Bethshan. But when the people of Jabesh Gilead heard what the Philistines had done to Saul, all their mighty warriors traveled through the night to Bethshan and took the bodies of Saul and his sons down from the wall, and they brought them to Jabesh, where they burned the bodies. And then they took their bones and buried them beneath the tamarisk tree at Jabesh, and they fasted for 7 days.
Now, have you ever been to the city of Bethshan?
Yes.
So we know that the old city, I've actually seen the wall, the remnants, or the foundation, I should say, of the wall of where Saul's body was hung.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Because this particular fortress would have been, and the remnants are still there on the top of this hill. So there was Old Testament Bethshan, and then there was like New Testament
Roman Bethshan.
like Roman Bethshan,
Right.
And the Roman one is vast.
It's magnificent.
It's magnificent. The remnants.
Did you go in the public toilets?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, they're unbelievable.
So it's pretty crazy. They had the rich people's public toilets and then the poor people's latrines. Rich people had like polished marble seats.
Yes.
But there's no block between. There's no stalls.
Right.
So you just come in and do business. Literally, that's where the phrase "doing your business" comes from. Is that the wealthy Romans would all come in to use the same toilets and sit and sell shops and do business. Wow. Hey, I've got some things to sell. I'll buy them, right? And they do business right there in the toilets. Hysterical. So that's there, but that's in the Roman area. There's a big amphitheater there. There's a bunch of shops there. There's a main street. There's like hot tubs.
There's a huge Coliseum. Did you already say that?
Yeah.
I mean,
amphitheater.
It's an amphitheater. It's massive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
absolutely massive.
But then, and that's the Roman part. You've got this main street there. It's pretty impressive. But then up on a hill above is where the ancient,
right?
The Roman one's ancient, but the Old Testament version of Bethshan is up on this hill.
It's quite small too, actually.
Yeah, right.
But did you hike up there as well?
We didn't.
Yeah,
no.
So I hiked up there, and what you saw was the actual foundation of the entire castle.
Oh, yeah.
And then there was like foundations where the walls would have been, right? And it's smaller than you would think.
Mm-hmm.
But all that to say this. If they were to, they did hang Saul's body from the wall, that meant everybody saw it.
Yeah, because this hill, it's not in a hilly area. It's kind of flat, just south of the Galilee.
Yes.
But this one hill just juts out of the plain pretty steeply. There's a picture of it here in the Life Application Study Bible.
No, yeah, I know, for sure.
Hey, if you don't have a Life Application Study Bible, go online. We don't make any money for promoting these, but grab one. A lot of people like to get these chronological Life Application Study Bibles. I don't know how practical that is for actual Bible study. It's practical for us in the way that we're doing this thing. But for you, go get a traditional Life Application Study Bible. And, there you go. There's pictures.
There's the walls.
Yeah.
So there's the foundation of the walls. I mean, that's quite a lot left, isn't it?
Yeah. Uh-huh. It's really amazing.
Yeah. So, I mean, I know that the people can't see it, but
there's some pictures in there in the Life Application Study Bible, all that kind of stuff. It's pretty great.
Yeah. It's cool.
So anyways, here's Saul, man. And he sees that his time is up. His sons have died. He's already been wounded mortally. He's been shot multiple times, apparently, by the archers. And he's begging his armor bearer to kill him. Please kill me.
Yeah, and you know what? I actually appreciated. I remember like reading this for the very first time, and I thought, "Gosh, is David?" After David says, "I'm not going to put my hand against God's anointed," twice. That's recorded. Who knows? Maybe he did it even more. But I actually thought to myself when Samuel said, "Tomorrow you're going to die," I thought, "Ugh, like David's going to have to actually kill him." And then come to find out, it wasn't David that killed him.
Right.
God was able to use the Philistines to take out Saul. And thank goodness, right?
Yeah.
Because
Saul took himself out.
What do you mean?
Saul committed suicide. He fell on his own sword.
Oh, yeah. But I mean, he took himself out because
I think the picture there is that Saul had ruined his own life.
Right. Oh, for
sure. That's what God. Right. You have nobody to blame but yourself, Saul.
Right. Yeah. And so It's such a sad tale, but it's important, right? Yeah. Because just like you said at yesterday's podcast, Saul was all about himself. From beginning to end, everything was about him, right?
Right.
And when we live our lives for ourselves, it's a wasted life. And if I understand we all have to take care of ourselves. We all have to put ourselves and our mental health, in priority. But when we decide that we are more important than God and then others,
right.
And we live our lives just for ourselves. Listen, there will be moments of pleasure. There will be moments of happiness. But in the end, we're going to get to the end of our lives, and our lives are going to be empty. Our lives are going to not have purpose or meaning or fulfillment. Because when you live a life for yourself, it's a wasted life.
Yeah.
And only when we decide to, trust God and put God first and put others first and realize how God designed us, that others are a part of the equation, will we realize the fulfillment and the blessing and, just the richness of life. Because we're only truly fulfilled when we are, living out the way that God designed us and created us for.
Yeah. It's such a sad ending because he had all the things on the surface. When Samuel anointed Saul, you would have thought this guy's got it all. He's tall, he's handsome, he commands a lot of respect, he's rich, all these things. He's going to be great.
He's a great warrior. He's talented.
He's taller than all the rest of us. Everything about him is just better.
Right.
And instead, he never lived up to his potential. Never. Like I don't know that the Bible shows hardly any days in his entire. Early on, he had a couple of victories where he did what God said, and then he just began to just run amok and serve himself and do what he wanted to do. And he just failed miserably. He never lived up to his own
he may be
potential.
He may be a person who is a victim of believing his own press.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
And so, here he is early on, like you just mentioned, and he had a few victories, and he's listening to Samuel, and he's recognizing that it's a humbling position to be anointed as the first king of Israel.
Right.
And then later on, he lives for himself. It never says so, but it could be that maybe he started to think how great he is.
Yeah.
Right? In other words, stop thinking, hey, we're not going to give God the credit. We're going to take the credit. And actually, that's a pretty good lesson for pastors, isn't it?
Right.
It's a good lesson for everybody, because we've seen people who think that they're pretty important in major volunteer positions at church.
Absolutely.
Right. Absolutely. And hey, I'm an elder, I'm a deacon, right? Oh, I'm a Bible leader. Right. It's my parking space. Hey, move over. This is my spot on the pew. Right. Like we've seen that as kids, and I think it's a victim. It's easy for anybody to start believing their own press. But it's very, very dangerous. And sometimes we don't even realize we're doing it.
We, a number of years ago, I'm not going to say his name, I'm not going to say the country, but a number of years ago, I was in a meeting. We had a state dinner at a country in Africa with the president and his cabinet and a bunch of other people. And he was struggling through, because he's a dictator, and I have mixed feelings about how he leads. But he was struggling with some faith things because he was kind of leaning towards Christianity and all those kinds of things, but struggling with how do you lead. And he made a statement. He was giving a speech. He said, in this world, there's good kings and bad kings. Mm-hmm. Right? That's what exists in the world. He's a president. He's elected, but there's good kings and bad kings. And he said the difference between a good king and a bad king is a good king believes he's the king and can do whatever he wants. That's a bad king. I'm sorry. A bad king believes he's the king, he can do whatever he wants, and that the people are there for him. And a good king, a good leader, realizes that he's there for the benefit of the people. Right? That's good. That's the difference between the two. And it's like Saul lived his whole life as if it was about him, and the kingdom was there for him.
Right.
Right? He wasted how much resources, how many lives of soldiers just hunting one guy. David literally calls himself a flea. I'm a flea. Why are you hunting me?
Right.
The resources just wasted over this one grudge.
That's what I always say to the policeman who pulls me over for going 3 miles an hour over.
Yeah.
I'm like, all the crime in the world?
Yeah, I'm a flea.
I'm a flea.
Yeah.
Go do something more important and give me a warning.
Yeah.
And then he's like, no.
But he wastes the resources of the kingdom on a personal vendetta. He's obsessed with his own circumstances, his own situation. And everything in his life spirals out of control. Whereas you see David the other way, leads as if the people were most important. And he was there to serve the people. It's a huge difference between these two kings.
Yeah.
Good kings and bad kings. And the difference is, are you living for yourself and using the people around you? Or are you living for other people? Right? And if you live for others, by the way, and this president went on and he said, the reality is if a good leader would serve his people well and cause the people to succeed and to prosper, the people will love him and they will give him everything he wants.
Right.
Right? So if you would leverage your influence for the betterment of your team at work or for your family or whatever, your people will love you. They will learn to love you. They'll learn to trust you and respect you, and you'll get what you're trying to accomplish in life too. It'll always happen. But if you only serve yourself, you will always tear down everything around you. The thing you're trying to accomplish, you're single-handedly tearing down until finally he takes his own life, right? Everything. He just destroyed everything because he was obsessed with himself and not the things of God, not other people. It just didn't serve well. So it's every time I read this, I feel so bad. The note for Life Application Study Bible for verse 4 says, Saul faced death the same way he faced life. He took matters into his own hands without thinking of God or asking for his guidance. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
What a statement. That could have gone on his tombstone.
Yeah, it probably could have. Yeah, you're right about
Saul
that.
Saul faced death the same way he faced life.
Yeah.
My wife and I,
Which he didn't have a tombstone. His head was cut off and he was hung on a wall.
That's right. And then they buried him under a tree. They could have carved this on the tree. My wife and I, we do this thing. It's called letterboxing. It's a whole deal. You can go online, letterboxing.org. You can look at it. It's basically a treasure hunts all around the world, little rubber stamps, and blah, 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 all this stuff. Anyways, they're just fun to do. So we've done like almost 400 of them.
What?
And I know, yeah, it's this whole weird thing we do. But sometimes... and they always send you to obscure places you'd never guess, and you got to use compasses and figure out codes and all this stuff sometimes. Other times they're just really, really simple. Go to this place and here it is, right? So we wound up doing this series, and it was all B movies, all the stamps. People hand-carved these rubber stamps, right? And they were all B movies, like The Werewolf and The Mummy and whatever.
Oh, nice.
And they were hidden in cemeteries all around Oakland County. And so it was kind of a Halloween kind of an idea. It was a fun one. It took us most of the day to do these things.
Which is the county that next over that we live at. Yep.
So one of them, the last one or the next to last one, was hidden at a tombstone that had the man's name, and it said, "Husband, father, failure."
Oh, wow!
And then it just had the dates of his life.
Whoa! Wait a minute.
Somebody had it carved, husband, father, failure.
It sounds like what they're saying is he was a great husband, a great father, and then also a failure.
He failed us both.
Yeah.
I'm hearing he failed his wife, he failed his kids.
That's what it has to mean.
Yeah.
Because it can't mean the other.
Right. And so...
Oh, that is just terrible.
I came away from that going... It was the first time I think I'd ever really thought, what do I want on my tombstone? Right? When I read this phrase... He faced death the same way he faced life. He took matters in his own hands without any consideration of God. And I think, man, what do I want on mine? I don't want that. I want, hey, he trusted God. He served his family and his church well.
I have a tendency, I'd have a tendency to think that that's some unresolved anger that will never go away.
Well, they etched it in marble. So
right.
there's that.
What I'm saying is God calls us to forgive. God calls us to let go of all the bitterness. Yeah. But if you etch it in marble, it almost seems like even if you have, finally one day you have peace for your own sake. Right. Which is a pretty big thing, right?
Right.
You're going to, well, I guess they wouldn't visit the gravestone
What would have happened if Saul would have turned around and in the last couple years of his life went, hey, I've been running the wrong direction. The people are more important. God's more important. I'm going to stop serving myself. If he'd repented and changed, I think his end would have been different. Yeah. He already had lost the kingdom, all those kinds of things, but he could have had a different ending. And then I have a lot of respect, quite honestly, for the people from Jabesh Gilead. Their warriors went out and said, hey, he's not the best guy, but we're not going to let the Philistines desecrate him and his sons, right?
Right.
And so these guys went out, and if you know that Beth Shan plateau, that was a hard place to get to, right? You were so exposed coming in on that spot, and they risked their lives to go show respect, give honor to whom honor is due. He's a king, so you give honor to him. He represents our people, and the Philistines are desecrating this body, and they went out and risked their lives. So there's a huge contrast between Saul and the lack of dignity, and then the dignity and courage of these unnamed warriors from Jabesh Gilead to say, hey, we're going to do the right thing.
Yeah, that's great.
Man, I love that part of the story.
Wow. Well, hey, here it is. We're able to see their character was so strong. We're able to get a glimpse of it, even though we don't know their names.
Yeah.
Right? They're worthy of being noted, right?
Yeah.
In history, and because of their character, which is something to be said about character. Okay, well, that's our time. So hopefully we will see you next time on The Bible Guys.